Good day. My name is Michael Smickley. I'm the host of Everyone's Got a Story. What's yours? Today we have Saundra Swan here. She's going to be relating her story and what inspires her to be so much more in her life. What this concept of what this show is about is we've all gone through life. Life happens. This gives us an opportunity when we share our stories, our memories, that has molded us and shaped us into who we are today. By those of you who hear her story and others from the previous before this show and afterwards, you'll be able to maybe be inspired by it or resonate with it to possibly give you hope. So, Shonda, I'd like to see, can you tell us a little bit about, well, first, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. And you know, when I start thinking back about my life, all the things that I've gone through, I'm sure that most people would be able to relate to some of it. Because as a child, when I was young, I was hyperactive, couldn't concentrate, dyslexic, hard to sit still, you know, and so that made it difficult for learning in our educational system. And so I had to find ways to deal with all that. And when I was a child, I think I did more of moving art, and I did gardening, and I did things outside, and cooking. I like cooking still.
Oh, that's good.
And so those are like moving meditations almost, like I've decided now. And so as the years have gone by, and then I always wanted to help people. I liked that. And so I decided I wanted to be a nurse, and I ran into many challenges getting to that point. And I had that in my mind. That's what I wanted. And so I had made this conscious decision to manifest that, because that was the thing I wanted. And I had been told I couldn't do that because I had had problems with chemistry, and it was not my friend at the time. And I tried several times and didn't make it through chemistry. And then my good friend Jan talked to me, and her mom talked to me about I should be a nurse and to give it one more try.
Good.
And so persistence, I think you have to remember that even though things look bad and you don't think you're going to make it, if you really, really want it,
oh yes,
you can get it. And so I did make it to school, and I passed chemistry.
Good.
Yay! That was a big one for me.
Yes.
And I became a registered nurse, and
nice.
I just finished 50 years last year. So
Congratulations.
I've worked in all kinds of different areas, and I really enjoyed it. But as I was working as a nurse, and I think it was when I was a visiting nurse, I always wanted people to not be in pain. Yes. And I always wanted them to be better. And so I was always searching for ways for that, to help me with that. I think the very first thing when I worked at Bergen, they would pay for me to go to a workshop, and there was one on acupressure.
Oh, nice.
That was my very first metaphysical thing that I went to, and I used that to teach people how to get rid of their pain without pills. And I thought, this is great, you know, in meditation. And
Yes.
So I said, this is really great. I got to look into this more. And so as the years went by, I started working with patients in the home setting, and I was a visiting nurse. And one of my patients said to me, you know, when you come to see me and you do my wound cure, I do not hurt for a whole day. Awesome. And she said, you're the only one that's like that. You must be a healer. And I went, oh, better do something about this. Because I had seen people that had given all their energy away and just aged just like that.
Yes,
and I did not want
well.
to do that.
Yes.
And so that's when I went into the field of Reiki and
Yes.
found out about Reiki and got trained as a master. Then went out to Hannah Kroger's and learned all of her different levels of training.
Yes.
And I went to an energy workshop with you, your training of energy. And so I've progressed through the years with my nursing and with these different levels of energy healing. And that's what I call, I'm a Reiki master, but I'm also an energy healer.
Yes.
And everything's energy.
Yes.
And I've come to this point where I tell people, you know what, you can work on anything you want to work on because it's all energy.
Energy and
that is
vibration,
where I'm
yes.
at now. when I work with people. I do Reiki in my home, and I also do it at Next Millennium,
Cool.
the second Wednesday of the month, and
Awesome.
and I'm doing it at Mystic Fest too. So it's like I just and then I hear the stories when they come back and tell me how things changed.
Yes.
Because I had explained some things to them that they could do for themselves. Because it's more than just the healing.
Yes.
You want them to be self-sufficient.
Yes, very true.
And be able to apply some things for themselves. And so I'm always teaching them little things that help, little
yes.
tricks that I pull out of my bag, So anyway, but that's kind of where I'm at now. And I also take care of people in their home. I have several that I go out and see, and I do like a private business. But these are people that are end stage people that they don't want to go somewhere. And so the one man I take care of, he's 95. He had COVID, and he didn't want to go to a nursing home. So his family make arrangements to come in and see him every day. And then I go 3 times a week and check his blood pressure and all that. And the other lady's got Alzheimer's, and she's been an old-time friend of mine. And so I see her 2 times a week.
That's cool.
And we go walking, and we do Qigong, which is another thing I do.
That's pretty good too.
And she was my teacher. She was my original teacher.
Cool.
And she can't remember now. And so I'm now her teacher. I'm the one that leads it for her. So it's kind of a great gift to give back,
Yes. Yes.
because it does help her when we do that. And so we've been doing it for 30 years.
Wow, that's
Qigong.
pretty awesome.
So I do it at church too.
At
one
the
time a month.
Unity Church?
I'm sorry, the
At the
Unity
Unity
Church.
Church?
Unity Church, and I do it on the 3rd Sunday
Okay.
of the month after church. And I had done it for UniQuest, which is a Henry Foundation. I had done it there, and they asked me to start doing it at church because they really enjoyed it. So then I started doing it once a month, and we have other people come for some of the other Sundays. But it's really good. I think there's such a wonderful interest these days in some of these things so they aren't lost.
A lot of people are seeking and looking for something that is more than what they've gone through and want to be able to experience and gain knowledge on what they can apply in their own lives.
Right, and so I also I'm the healing arts team. I manage the healing arts team at church, and so we've pulled in. We had Jimmy Hughes here previously.
Very cool.
He does drumming for second, and then we have somebody doing the bowls on the first Tibetan bowls on the first Sunday. So we've expanded so that we have this call. People want this, and we're seeing a lot more people coming.
Yes.
As we keep doing it on a regular basis.
That's awesome. Very awesome.
So, and the other group that I work with is, I said something about the Henry Foundation,
Yes.
and I've had you come before.
Yep.
So I make planned speakers, and so I ask people what they want to know more about, and then I look for people that can come and talk about those things. And
Very cool.
that you can find on Meetup, UniQuest Omaha.
Okay.
And that we do the 1st and 3rd Mondays of the month at Unity Church. We're not really affiliated with them, but we rent the space there.
Yeah, still
and
works.
so we've had some of the same speakers, and Jimmy's been there, and we've had him do some things, and some other speakers come and do stuff too. So
Very awesome.
I'm kind of pleased about that. But I'm also, for me, my son is in an apartment building that they get food brought from one of the grocery stores.
Okay.
And so I was there one day, and they had finished taking the food, and they were going to throw it away. And so for about 10 years now, I've been taking what's left over and giving it to people that can use it.
That's cool. Repurpose.
And the very last part of it goes to like the Open Door Mission, if we have a lot, or it goes to the animals. I have a friend that feeds the animals, and so it's not thrown away, because that really hurt me that we would waste that good food,
That's true.
So that's something else that I do. I try to. I'm busy. I'm a busy person.
Well, as you mentioned before, being a busy person with your youth aspect, you've molded and shaped and grown over the years, and to make it the energy flow within yourself to be who you are today.
Yeah.
And you're big into the community.
Right.
You give and receive throughout the community as we all work together in the empowerment of it.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, we thank you very much for that, most definitely.
Yeah, and I sing in church.
That's
another thing I did as a child. I sang also as a bypass for me to find joy. And you know, you're tuning yourself when you sing.
True.
If I always think when I've sung at church that I've all my chakras are tuned. You know, they're in alignment now.
Yes.
So I just feel really good, huh?
It's kind of like a tuning fork.
Yeah, and I just feel really good afterwards. You know, so that's another option people can try in that direction if they need a way to I feel better, really.
Very true, very true. Got a couple more questions for you here. We've talked about your experiences and what's been important to you. Which hurdles did you personally face and how did you overcome them?
Okay, personally, the chemistry was a big one for me.
Okay.
Because
of the dyslexia, it switches the letters and numbers around.
Right, and I was having trouble, and I went and asked for help, but really didn't get any.
Okay.
Okay. I knew that I should ask, but the teacher didn't know how to help me, basically, is what it came down to. Yeah. And so when I went to, when I got my head straight and put that I wanted this really bad, that I was willing to work hard for it.
Yes.
Conscious manifesting,
yes,
which is another area that I've worked hard on,
which
because there's a lot you can do with that.
Correct.
We have a lot of power there, and people don't think they can. But if you don't manifest for yourself, somebody else will manifest for you.
That is correct.
So you have to make a decision. What do I really want, and what am I willing to put the time into?
Yes.
And so I really wanted to be a nurse, and I was already an aide. In high school, we got to take a program where we could be trained as part of our high school class. And so I'd already done that, and I really liked it, already knew what I was getting into, you know. So when I went up, I was working at the hospital in Ames, Ames, Iowa, and I was working with a guy that had gone to school at the University of South Dakota.
Okay.
And so he suggested I try there.
Okay.
And so that's where I went. And they had a special program for the nurses, the med techs. The chemistry program was not as intense. Still gave you all the information, but not as intense as the one like at Iowa State that I took.
Nice, very nice.
And so it helped us to get through. And he was a teacher that one test we took, everybody failed.
Okay.
He threw it out.
Nice.
He said, obviously, I didn't teach you what I should have taught you.
Okay.
And so he started over with that subject until we got it.
Now that's a good mentor.
That was a very good mentor, and it helped most of us to make it through what we needed to get through.
That's good.
Chemistry was one of them. I had challenges. I had an abusive husband. I had challenges to deal with, and I'm sure people have had those. Yeah. But I decided that I needed to separate myself from that. I really tried to make it work, but it didn't work. And we just go back to the same thing. Yeah. And so that's another topic that a lot of people have. And you don't need to stay in it. In fact, I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah. Because it's such a very destructive thing to you, for your personal belief in yourself and all that, when you allow somebody to be like that with you. And so I did have to leave that, and I also for my kids, you know.
Yes.
It was very hard on my children too. So, you know, that's a big one that I had to overcome. Self-belief, belief in myself. As a child, I actually was told I was stupid because I couldn't concentrate. Okay, and so we hear that, you know, people say that, but I was told that, and so it was from a parent, and so you know they have a great influence on you, and you believe them.
Yeah.
And I remember the moment that I sat there and said, I am not stupid.
Correct.
And I had to tell myself that I am not a stupid person. I have some challenges, but I am not stupid. And in fact, I probably was higher because I was able to work around all my challenges to get what I wanted.
Yes, very true.
And so don't ever let anybody tell you that you're something less than you really are.
And don't tell yourself.
And then you have to believe it yourself, too, that you're better than that.
Because I also understand and resonate with you on the dyslexia, ADHD, and all that stuff, even though I wasn't per se diagnosed with it back as a kid.
Yeah,
but
I wasn't either.
But the aspect is...
They really didn't, when I was a kid, they didn't even focus on that. They just...
Things were different
it's
with
different then.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the aspect is we understand who we are and what we can do, and we're able to, especially us, we like to have a good challenge.
Yes.
If someone tells you can't do that, it's like, I'll see if I can actually make it happen.
I think that's kind of part of my challenge to get to be a nurse.
Yes.
And then I did start doing meditation.
Yes, which is good.
I did crocheting as a moving meditation.
That's cool.
And I did the gardening and the cooking, because that's also kind of a meditation.
Sure.
And they're just moving meditations, and that works well with somebody that's a little hyperactive anyway, because you're moving and you're not sitting still. But I started going to the Henry Foundation, and what Henry or Jim Smith would say to us is, you just start out slow. If you can only do 5 minutes, do 5 minutes.
Exactly.
And then work up to the next level where you're 10 minutes or 15. And so that's what I had to think about. I just if I could only do 5 minutes, well, we'll do that. And then you're constantly bringing yourself back, when you start wandering off in your head, bringing yourself back so you could concentrate.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was really helped immensely. The meditation helped a huge amount.
There's different variations, different forms. Not one thing can be for everybody. There's different aspects that work with each person. And it's like some of the guided meditations I do, I make it a little more interactive for the people that's there and help them work through it.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely understand
something
that.
Visual to think about, yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
So what makes you feel inspired and or motivated? You've mentioned quite a few of them already.
Yeah. I just, when I have helped somebody and they go, ta-da, I get it.
Yes.
And then it works for them.
Yes.
That really inspires me, because then it makes me feel like, well, I'm really doing something that makes a difference,
I'll agree with that.
And, being joyous too. I think being joyous is a good one, because
that's a real good one.
It is good for your personal health, but it's good for everybody else, because you're sharing that with them too, and you're joyous.
Yes.
And that's helped to overcome some of the other things.
It makes a huge difference in our lives, most
Yes.
definitely. So any words of wisdom for someone that may be watching our show today?
Well, don't just believe that somebody is telling you that you can't do something. If you really, really want it, find a way to do it. I mean, put it out there and consciously manifest, and then think about how you might get there. What is the way you might get there, and make some steps to get there. They can be little steps, but if you can keep moving forward that direction, whatever it is, because I know that the 50 years I was a nurse, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I love helping people, and I wanted people to be better. And I will tell you also that I consciously manifested I didn't want anybody to die on my shift, and they never did.
Wow, that's pretty
50 years,
that's
they
powerful.
never did. So you can manifest all kinds of things.
Yes.
I wanted them to be better, not die.
Yes.
And so I put it out there, and it never happened.
Which is good.
Yeah, and so it just only goes to show that you can do that.
Yeah, we have a lot of amazing opportunities that we're here to gain knowledge, to apply the knowledge, to gain experience is a very powerful opportunity we have.
Right, and I'm continuing to learn. I So I was dyslexic, right?
Yes.
So Deepak Chopra has this wonderful tape about magical mind, magical body. And I was watching it because for finding something for Edith, because my friend Edith has memory issues.
She's amazing.
She is amazing, but she's having issues now with her mind. It's a family, you know. Yeah. And so I wanted something that would make new connections in the brain. And he had an exercise that he did, that I did for her. We got it and tacked it onto the back of our Qigong. And it would help her. It helped her make new connections in the brain. But you know what it did for me? It fixed my dyslexia.
Really?
At 70, it fixed my dyslexia.
That's
pretty... And now I can read without having to reread. I understand what I'm reading. And I went, oh my gosh. And I didn't even think about that. I was doing this for her, and it fixed me.
I'm actually quite curious and interested in that myself.
It's very easy, too.
Well, definitely want to sit down for
talk to you about it.
Well, we'll definitely look forward to that.
Yeah. So I will, yeah, that's something that I've shared with people too, because, wow, you know, I had no idea. And I would always have to reread, and in fact, I would have to read out loud. Yep. Because I could hear it then.
Yes, using the...
And I would take it from another direction, you know. Yep. And that's how I made it through nurses training, is that I had my apartment all by myself on the weekend, because the other students were from South Dakota. They went home. And so I was in this apartment all by myself. So if I read out loud, nobody cared. Not true. You know? And so I would read all my assignments out loud. And that's how, you know, you see it, you hear it, and then I would get it, you know.
That's something I use often, is using as many as your senses and I call it tactile center awareness. If you can see it, if you feel like a pencil or a pen in your hand, you speak it, you're tasting the words, you're hearing it. If you use like some type of a scented candle or something that's there, you're using all your senses, and it helps you flow flow what you're writing.
Well, my dad used to do for spelling. He used to have me write the words out 10 times. Yep. And say them out loud at the same time. And then I would do the spelling test again, and if I missed them again, then I would do them 10 times again.
Gotcha. Wow. I
got pretty good at spelling.
I bet you did.
But it worked, because you're talking about the multiple ways of doing it. So. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I just think that you just have to believe in yourself. And my friend Dennis, that is no longer with us, he always told me that I didn't think I was as good as I am. And I had to believe in myself to be better than I was, you know, thinking I was. And so it took me a long time to understand that I was able to help people with the energy work and teaching them on ways to do it, and believing in myself.
That's a very powerful...
I think that you need to, that's a big step right there, just believing in yourself.
Yes, I am in full agreement with you. Well, thank you much for your time, Saundra, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting together with you again here soon.
Okay, good.
And thank you for each and every one of you for being out there with us today. And tune in next time at Everyone Has a Story. What's yours? And thank you.